Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Easier Said Podcast. Today's guest is none other than Delite Lago, formerly Delite Chrisman, also the co-host of It's a Good Day podcast back in its day. Maybe it's going to make a comeback.
Back in its heyday.
Maybe it makes a comeback.
Everyone knows about it.
Any big announcements here? You have a really cool story regarding fertility and adoption and stuff like that I want to get to. But first, I thought it'd be fun to just kind of get your overview experience of the podcast that you started, when you started it, how long it went, and just take it from there.
Sounds good. Well, I am very excited to be here. I do kind of pride myself to be the Easier Said podcast biggest fan.
Okay,
I don't
let's
know
go.
if you know that. I was going to look and see, make sure that when I said I've listened to every second of every podcast, it was true. I think it's true.
No kidding. Wait a minute. You're all the way caught up.
Oh, yeah.
Props.
I mean, I listened the first
all
day.
Right.
I listened.
You're doing a lot of brownie points.
I'm the one messaging the podcast being like, hey, where is the episode? I was waiting for it at 8 a.m.
Yeah, that's right. Whenever we have technical difficulties.
I'm a little disappointed, but big fan.
Great.
Big fan. I love it. It's so
That's
fun.
pretty good because we're 74 episodes in. I think this one is actually going to air either 76 or 77.
That's great.
Depending on the schedule.
Do you know what
Do
you know what the average podcast?
Oh,
how long they go?
I'll pull it up right now because I've referenced it before.
It's low.
See, if you're such a big fan, you should know exactly what I referenced that before.
I do think I've heard you say it.
All right, so let's see.
Episode
average 90% don't make it past the first 3 episodes.
3, wow.
So that's kind of like hey, let's do a podcast, and then you're like, oh, this is too much work.
Yeah, a lot of them like that. Yeah,
right. Most.
Yeah, that's true.
Most podcasts are very early, with an average of approximately 7 to 21 episodes produced before they slow down and become inactive. A significant majority of podcasts, around 90%, do not make it past the first 3 episodes, which is kind of crazy. So, of that few that make it past 20 episodes, another 90% of those stop before 90% of the ones that make it past the 3 episodes don't make it to 20.
Right.
And then they're done. About 8.5% reach 50 episodes, which is not much. So it's 91.5. Then only 4.78 make it to 100 episodes. So we're on our way to being in the top 5% of podcasts ever as far as longevity goes.
Yep.
Fewer than 2.5 reach 200 episodes. So as time goes, it gets... Yeah, I can understand.
I think especially for like amateur, when you're not already famous.
We're not a personality on TV.
Right. Or already an author or whatever.
Yeah, and have connections with guests and media and marketing. Yeah, for most people who just started out, it's like they get in it and they're like, oh, this is actually a lot of work.
Right.
Yeah.
It definitely is.
Did you have that feeling?
It definitely is a lot of work. Yes, I did kind of the technical part of it, but I'm not great at that stuff.
Okay, like the I did the editing, technology side.
I did and there was no I wasn't auto editing at all or anything like that.
What year?
I did all of it. We started in 2019.
Okay.
Yep. So it might have been available, but I just
I
felt like a little bit of imposter syndrome, where you're like, I don't actually think I should be doing this, but somehow I'm faking it till I make it. And I'm putting out an episode every week, but
there's definitely that feeling too. I don't know what I'm doing. And then the more you learn, the more you realize you don't really know that much.
Right.
And then
for sure,
you're trying to adapt. And for me, it's been time management.
Yep.
Has been always the big thing because I'm busy, just like I'm sure you were at the time. And so
when it's not your job too, it's different.
How can I cut down the editing time and the recording time and the scheduling and and then we produce clips and stuff, so that takes some time. So I'm just trying to make it all less time.
Yep.
While being consistent and still developing and producing a good good product,
Right.
kind of. So,
Yep. And getting an
2019,
episode out every week or as often as you say you're going to, too, because that's
which
part
is a
of.
lot.
If you don't, then people don't rely on it, and then you lose listeners, I think.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Well, you know what's funny is there was a part of this summer when it was just too busy, and I was just like, oh man, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. We were traveling for work, and I definitely felt that it would have been easy just to let it go.
Sure.
Like there was a point where it was like, oh, it's kind of nice to not have to worry about that anymore.
Right. I don't actually have to do that.
Yeah. And then I started getting excited about it again, and so here we are, I guess.
Yep. That's great.
Okay, how many episodes did you guys do?
So we had 99, and we had one like a part. I can't quite remember if we had a part 2. We had this one like very short part 2, and that might have been 100. So it may look like I had 100, but in my mind, I knew like episode 99 is what we had done, and we had actually scheduled. We had episode 100 scheduled, and I was like, I at least want to do 100 episodes. Like I could tell. At the time, I had a brand new baby. My sister, who was co-hosting with me, was about to have a baby. It was just like we had older children. I've had 2 more children since then. So I think I kind of knew like this might not be able to keep being a priority, even though it was really fun. I really enjoyed it. I like it. I liked it. I like doing it. In fact, I'm still paying monthly to have those episodes there, because I don't really, like I said, I'm not actually very technologically smart. And I don't know what to do with them. But I'm like, man, I have all these episodes that like, they're so fun, and some of them have such good stuff that like, I hate to just do away with them, but I haven't.
If you lose the subscription for whatever
right, I didn't save
platform you used.
I didn't save my data anywhere. Like I don't have.
That is
my
the cool
episodes.
part, I think, about doing a video podcast on YouTube. It's like they're there for free.
Now it's like,
yeah.
And 2, if I had time somehow, maybe I could switch it over even to YouTube now, whatever. And
what platform did you use to upload them?
I think it's called Podbean.
Yep.
So anyway, we never ended up doing that 100th episode. My dad had, which I think he might have talked about this story. He's been on the podcast here
Twice.
A little bit.
2 times.
Yes. He had an accident, motorcycle accident. So we had been up all night, and we're at the hospital with him, like when we were supposed to record that episode, and then we just never did.
Yep.
And yeah, it always makes me, I'm a very finisher. Like I do things like all the way. I'm the type that I start something, and 10 years later, I'm still doing it. And I have, I have friends who are like, they do something new every other week or whatever, and I'm just like, I'm just not like that when I do it, whatever. So it was very hard for me to like actually let it kind of go and be like, it's okay. It's something that I did, and we didn't have to have it tied in a nice little bow. I would have rather like finished it well, but now it's almost 5 years. Crazy how fast it goes. Because that was 2021.
If you still have the thing, maybe that's just another season to come. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe it'll.
It'll be this season 1 will be your first 100 episodes.
There you go.
Season 2,
a
lot of people do that.
Yeah, that's true.
And then they take breaks, which
is
not a bad
smart.
idea. Yeah, it's a pretty good idea.
Planned out.
Well, I mean, if only there was a studio around here where you could just sit down and bring an SD card and upload it.
True.
Maybe you should have your dad on for the 100th episode.
There you go.
And talk about that
story.
Yeah, I know. Oh my goodness.
I had a friend this week that was talking about just a vision she has for something she'd like to do. And she's like, I don't know, YouTube or podcast or whatever. And I'm like,
oh, no kidding.
Maybe we should just, pick it up. But yeah, my life is, I don't really have the extra space in my life these days. So,
which you have to, especially for a person who wants to keep something going once they start it. Like you can only have so many things on your plate and in your schedule before you become overwhelmed.
Yeah. That's one thing for me that's been really difficult since I started having children, is figuring out like, oh, it's not all about me. And you have to let things go that are essentially selfish. It's not like it was obviously not totally selfish, but yeah, it was fun. It wasn't like a necessity. So
right. Yeah, hobby. Yeah, you got to pick your hobbies.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean that's part of life. It's part of, perspective shift and life creep and all these things that people talk about. Yeah, doesn't get any more true than that. What was one thing that you loved about podcasting?
I think the same reason why I love this podcast is I just think that everybody has a story. I mean, I know that everyone has a story.
Yep.
And giving people like the platform to tell their story, even people that maybe wouldn't, like with your podcast here, the first person I think of is Ben Rogie. Love that episode. Like he's someone I've known also my whole life. Think he's amazing, has valuable things to say, but I learned a lot and got a lot out of that podcast that like I probably would have never had those conversations with him. And probably there's a lot of people that he's never had those conversations with. But when it came to like giving him an hour or whatever to just step out of maybe his comfort zone and talk, it was phenomenal. Like I loved it. So yeah. I think that was the biggest thing. Like I just loved like giving space for people's stories because everyone has such amazing stories.
Yeah.
And not everyone that's the thing too about a podcast where you're bringing on people and stuff. Like not everyone is great at telling their stories.
Yeah.
Like when you listen to professional podcasts, they only bring on people that it's their job and they're really good at it. And it's amazing. They do a good job.
Yep.
But in a relaxed kind of setting with someone, like you can kind of hopefully get to that point where you can relax a little and then really tell your story. And like, yeah, it's amazing the things that we talked about and learned. And for a while I was kind of like, no one listens. Like, it was like maybe I feel like I had around 60 to 70 consistent like subscribers, people that listen most weeks. And I was like, is it even like, what is the point? Like whatever. And my friend Brianna said to me, who you should definitely have her sometime.
Oh yeah.
You've had her husband Ezra a few times, but she said, if 60 people were coming to your house once a week to like hear you talk or hear who you were putting in front of them, like, would that feel like a decent amount? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, yeah.
Right.
So what if it's only 50 or 60? Right. Like it's cool, know? So yeah, it was fun.
A little bit of the context behind that. I recently did hear somebody say pretty much parrot the exact same thing. Like if you're starting out and you have 100 followers or you have 100 subscribers or listeners every episode, like put them in a room. Put them in an auditorium. You know, cool. It's 1,000. Oh, it's 2,000. No, it's not the big, numbers that you might want or whatever.
Right.
But it is a lot of people who are tuning in and reaching that message. Like think about the video that you put up. Like you've put up some adoption story videos, which we'll get to some of that journey. But you put up a couple of those, and some of them like have gone crazy.
Right.
And put all those people in a room.
Right.
You just shared your story with 1 million people or whatever it is.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be that big. Scale it down a little bit.
Right.
If we had one person who came on and 100 people, it's about quality, not quantity always. Right. So like if 1,000 people were really touched by one interview guest versus 1 million who didn't really get much out of it, it's really important. And to your other point, the about Benny coming on, you might not, you've known him your whole life, but you don't know his story. You don't know what you could learn from him if you haven't sat down and had the conversation. I've had on fathers whose sons were like, I didn't even know any of that story. It's like, good. Now you have it forever. Your kids will have it forever. And that's been one of the most fun parts.
Yeah, that's really
definitely
fun.
But yeah, I can relate to that. So you had on mostly people that you knew or?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I think that was the other thing. Like we talked a few times about doing, like remote interviews or whatever. And like, even had a couple different, like not anyone that you would know necessarily, but a couple more popular names that were willing. And we did not know how to do it. Okay. Like we just couldn't, except for really super, like on the phone or something, you know, like not actually like, and
Right.
we looked into it a little bit. We tried it over Zoom once doing one. It just like,
Yeah. It's
and
tough.
I didn't have the time to figure it out.
Yeah.
And I don't shine in that area. I'm not great at researching, figuring things out when it comes down to it. So
Yeah.
I just
That
had
is
to stay
another
in my
part
lane.
that's a lot. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I've been recently doing some of that myself, kind of learning how to do that and hoping to do some of that in the near future. And it's like, yeah, it's a whole nother ball game. It's almost like a whole nother branch and a whole nother arm of podcasting that, yeah, you can reach people a lot easier.
Yeah.
They can go in their office and have a podcast with you across the country, or
Right.
across the world. But it is like, you know, it's a different recording style. Audio on their end is whatever it is. You don't know.
Getting it right and editing and all that.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I wonder I bet it's improved even somewhat since COVID because so many things went.
With
People
Zoom
who only did in person,
meetings,
you know, podcasting only did in person.
Oh, right.
Like
Yeah, for sure.
switched, you know, everyone had to pivot.
Yeah.
So
And there's platforms too now
I'm
that
sure
do it.
that now,
of
because I
course.
don't think that, there was nothing that felt simple like that I could find at least. We tried. But
Yeah.
anyway, it's all
And
good. It's a season.
co-hosted with August.
Yeah, it was our
Shout out
friend
to
Wendy, and then my sister August is who
Okay.
started it. And then at some point, after about a year, maybe, Wendy decided to get done. Just life took a different direction,
Yep.
and that was kind of sad because she actually did some of them. I did the editing, but she did some of the administrative stuff that was really nice. She was a little more better at that than I was, and so. Yeah, it was sad to lose her, but we decided to keep going, and we did. And yeah, sometimes I think I should go back and listen. Even some of the first episodes, like terrible on your ears, not fun to listen to.
Oh,
but
yeah. Go watch some of our first ones. Oh, boy.
But we just laughed so hard, and it was we just were having
Yeah.
fun. Some of the first episodes, especially before we started, you know. Then we started interviewing more people and whatever. But yeah, a couple of the most favorite ones was at Christmas time. I think 2 years in a row at Christmas time, we did like a call-in episode.
Oh, nice. Yep.
And it
Cool.
was like, we had like a question, like, tell us, like, what do you love about Christmas, or
Favorite
something
memory.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, mhm.
And so then people would just either send me a voice memo, call. So literally it sounded like a call-in show. Like,
that's cool.
I
Yeah.
loved it. And that was really fun. And yeah, just, that was a cool thing involving people. And like, it felt like, oh, I did that. Like, I put that episode together. That's awesome.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Still don't know what I'm doing, but somehow I have this pretty cool
I know.
episode.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's been a few times where I felt like that too, where the episode kind of got put together, sat down, and I was like, oh, yeah,
it
really,
turned out pretty
pretty
well.
good.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. And usually most people come on and they're like, I don't know what to say. Yeah, why would you want to talk to me? And then after a couple minutes, they're just,
Right.
yeah, killing it.
Yep.
When you said somebody reached out about starting their own podcast, what was like the first thing you said to them? Because they're kind of looking for insight.
Yeah. Well, it was a close friend, and it was kind of like, more like she was saying, like, I have this idea of something we could do, like, let's do it together, kind of thing. And so, I think I said YouTube, like, just like put it on YouTube channel. It's so easy because I have that too. But yeah, I've had different people though that have, I don't know if anyone's actually started besides you. Obviously you asked me a few things, but, yeah, just different people ask questions, and that feels like, oh, that's cool. People are like, oh,
Yeah.
you know something. I'm like, maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, that's happened to me too. Probably like 5 or 6 times. Some person in North Carolina and a couple other people. But even more recently, 3 or 4 people in the area who were like, hey, I have this kind of thing I like to talk about. Or actually it was somebody in Lewis County government was asking me, and the healthcare system maybe. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool because, there's not a lot of that around here. So although there are millions of podcasts, although most of them don't make it very far. And just to make you feel really bad, you're not yet in the 4.78% because you're not at 100 episodes.
Not over 100.
And that will eat at you forever. Bring them on. Record it right here. That'd be awesome.
That
you can
would
do
be.
it. I love the idea of just having good conversations and good material to give to people. Like a lot of people don't hear this messaging very often. We're pretty lucky in this area, I think. We're definitely lucky in our family and blessed that way. So
For sure.
yeah, good, encouraging stuff for people to listen to. It's huge. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about you personally? Because I don't remember, maybe a few times throughout your podcast, you kind of got into your personal life a little bit. I loved the sibling episodes. Those were fun.
Yeah.
You had your brothers, and obviously August was already on.
Yep.
Those are really fun. I listened to Corwin's several times. Hannah's was really good. Yeah, so many good ones.
Yeah.
But I never really got to hear like kind of your story. So
Yep.
why don't you start with who you are, what you do?
Okay. I am me. I was thinking about the way here,
You
on the way
are.
here, you know, like what do you say? There's so getting like a 30-second bio of yourself is,
Oh yeah, it's
is
hard.
difficult.
It's why they do that in interviews. And
Yeah.
they make you like really uncomfortable. It's
Yeah.
not to hear necessarily your answers, see how you respond.
Right.
Yeah. Tell me about yourself. What's your biggest flaw? Ooh. How much time do you
Too
have?
many to count. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Anyway, I would say that number one, I'm just a devoted follower of Jesus, and I am just so thankful that he changed my life, that he died on the cross for us. It's amazing when you really think about it. My 4-year-old Julian, he's been talking a little bit lately, and he was talking about baptism, and but then also saying like, why did Jesus die for us or whatever? And he just been talking about lately, and he was just saying like, why did he do that? And I was like, yeah, he didn't have to, dude. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Right.
I am married. I have had 15 years with a really good man. I'm so thankful, and he's super cool. He would hate to be behind this microphone, unfortunately,
We'll kidnap him sometime.
maybe together, you know.
Or we can get Nick and Jake in here too, maybe.
That's true.
That would be a fun time.
That's true.
Yep.
Oh man, although I think he's pretty quiet in certain circles.
Yeah, he might.
It depends. If you want to talk about football, then maybe
Okay, we'll have a football podcast.
You could have a
That could be
football
done.
one. I feel like he would do pretty well. But
Yep.
yeah, my husband Jordan, we have had a really good marriage, for which I'm thankful. We've had some really hard things in our life, but our marriage has not been one of them, and that's not everybody's story. There's a lot of marriages that are difficult, and so I'm very thankful for that. We have 4 children. They are very close in age, 6, 4, 3, and 2 currently. They all joined our family through adoption. We were 9 years married before we had children, and that was not on purpose.
Right. Which you would probably, there was a point when you have to start explaining, people are like, you have to start having kids.
Sure.
You're
I
like,
mean, around here, you know how it is.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
crazy. Like
Right.
people, as soon as you get married, people are like,
Our youngest is almost 2, so we're already kind of like, oh.
right. Yep.
Yeah.
But yes, quickly you have children, and quickly that becomes you remember that other life sometimes fondly, actually.
Right. Yeah.
And,
sure.
Yeah, it's good, but I would say parenting is the most challenging thing that I've ever done.
Mm-hmm.
It is not easy for me, and there are days that I really dislike it. And I'm not shy about that. I love my children, but parenting is hard. And your wife, Stephanie, is one of my good friends, and she's always like, Delite, just keep being real about that. No one's really real about it. And I always am so encouraged that you just tell it like it is and say how you're feeling. And I'm like, yep, I definitely do. I work part-time, so I never really, you know how life sometimes isn't how you imagined that it would be.
Yeah.
I never imagined being a working mom. I just thought I would totally be a stay-at-home mom, and that hasn't become the story. that we've created after so many years of working and having two incomes. It was not, it just hasn't happened yet to go down to one for various reasons. And, I'm able to have my kids with me some when I work, which is good. I work with my brother-in-law who has a developmental disability, and I'm an aide to him. So that's cool. He's been wondering when you were going to have him on your podcast.
Oh,
He mentioned that to me.
Sounds good. Yep, that's right.
Oh,
he
man,
came
I do
on
one
he
episode
came on
with
yours.
mine. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. That's going to happen.
But
we're going to make it happen.
that'd be hilarious. That'd be great. I like a lot of things. I like to, what was I going to say? One thing that I really like as far as like hobbies and stuff is documenting like life. I take pictures. I kind of have a little journal that I do every day, a little picture grouping that I've done for, like I said, about how I keep doing things. I think this is the 11th year. Would that be? Or
no kidding.
2015 was the first year that I did it.
Wow.
So does that make it the end of the 10th year? I'm very bad at that. 25. I don't know.
That's wild.
I have to use my fingers. 15, 16, 17.
Right.
10 or 11 years, either way.
When it starts matters.
But I've done it. I do it every day. And
that's a long time to do anything.
Yep.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. I have my YouTube channel, which I don't really do. Again, that's more of a hobby and a place to mostly put like my home videos, but I love having those and putting those together, and like my kids love to watch it. And, we have I loved, in my family, we were big on that kind of thing. My dad was always walking around with a camcorder on his shoulder, when I was a little girl. And so I come by it very naturally to document our life that way. But it's really fun.
The younger population is like, carry around something on your shoulder. What does that mean?
Yep.
It's like, like the movies, like when they're showing behind the scenes in like a big cinematic movie and they got the big, huge cameras.
Yeah,
that's kind of how it was.
That's how it was. Yeah.
In the 90s.
Yep. Down to right in the hospital, my birth was on video.
Oh, wow. So right from
recorded.
The get-go.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
So, anyway, but I like to do that. I don't do as many, again, kind of artsy videos these days. I've done some that I've liked, and but each story of my children's adoptions, I've done two. And like you mentioned, I had one particular that I don't think it's quite to 900,000 views, and it's a few years old. So it's not like,
nuts.
It's not really, I don't think that's even considered viral, but
but imagine the impact of that.
Yeah.
And then you start to read the
thousands
comments.
Of comments. Yep. It's amazing.
You could impact people in a positive way. It's pretty neat.
Yep. And that video was when our second son was adopted. He came right home from the hospital. So we didn't really tell anybody, about it. Until he came home, and then he was doing great. So we spent the next literally 2 days driving around, showing up with him at people's houses or FaceTiming people. And I think the thing about that video that it's cool, people's reactions, and it's amazing. And I love even just this community and the community that I have, how people love family and children, and just are so thrilled for people being able to build a family. And of course, people that knew our story, that it wasn't an easy thing and all that. But the thing about that video is there's other videos like that of, people surprising people with adoptions or pregnancy or, all of that. That video is 18 minutes long. It's 18 minutes. And it's like, most clips are, 30 seconds or a minute or whatever, less than a minute. Some of them are just whatever. And that is the thing that even through the comments, like that is the thing that I think is the most impactful to people, is like, they're like, I have one person to tell if I had a baby. Like, how do these people have so many people? And it's true. That's my life and my husband's life. That's our life. We are very blessed, and in this community, like we're very blessed. But we had, 18 bridesmaids and 18 groomsmen.
Did
so,
you really?
You remember
That's
that?
a couple.
You weren't even one of them, were you?
No.
I don't think. No.
What? No. That is a pretty big bridal party.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's the only way you do things. I think there's so much value to what you're saying. You're talking about the duration of the video being because you had so many people to tell and to share the moment with, when most people they don't have that connection to people.
Yeah, I feel like it's typically like, 7, like a couple grandparents, a best friend, and a sister or something, Right. Yeah. And ours just goes on and on. I doubt many of those 900,000 have watched the whole thing, but
you can tell.
A few of them.
You can tell on your analytics.
A few of them have.
It's the reactions in there is some of my favorite things. I don't know how many times I cried probably watching that, but the one where you brought it around the door and showed my family particularly, it was like just killed me. It was just like, oh my gosh, just the joy and elation for somebody else. Like you don't see that very often anymore. Unfortunately. Yep.
Yeah. And just to be able to live a life where other people are so invested in my story and caring about me, like knowing how momentous it was. Mm-hmm. And with that particularly, I think some people knew that we were in the process, but it also happened really fast. It was like a week after we were officially on the list. It was a week later, which is not very common. Right. So, yep.
Okay. So take me back because you mentioned, you've had 15 years of marriage.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
For sure. Fact check.
15 and a half. We
I always tell that.
2010, which is really, you did 2020.
Okay. Perfect.
That was smart. We did 2010. Same, so you can know very easily.
I'm no dummy.
But it was
I'm no dummy. I did 5, our wedding day is 5, 10, 20. And
I love that.
Shouldn't be able to.
That's
Shouldn't
amazing.
be able to forget that.
Yes. Well,
it is every time I have guys on and they're always like, yeah, I've been married and then there's a pause and I'm like, I'll edit that out if you don't want to. I think. I don't know. That's good. 15 years. Man. And you said that you're blessed to have a really good marriage despite some of the hard things that you've gone through. Like what?
Yep. Well, one big thing is really Jordan's story to do with his health and his having a connective tissue disorder called Marfan syndrome, which in his family, they had sort of had heard about it and sort of known that he had some of the specific markers for it. But one of the big things that it also affects is your aorta, which is the blood vessel that
connects to your heart.
That was called blood vessel.
Artery.
Yeah, that connects. Yeah, maybe it's an artery. Where's that editing?
I'm leaving it in.
Feel free. That can have issues, different things.
Okay.
And so we kind of knew that maybe he had this thing. It kind of was a joke actually when he was like younger. We would or in his early 20s, we'd kind of joke about it. Like, some people think like Lincoln maybe had it.
Okay.
And just
like tall, long, lanky.
There's
kind
certain
of markers.
Certain specific markers that he has quite a bit of them. But because your connective tissue, which is the part that holds your different things together, is kind of thinner than.
Interesting.
So that's why they sometimes have long fingers, long arms, because it's sort of stretched out.
It says that Marfan syndrome is an inherited condition characterized particularly by skeletal changes, elongation of the limbs and digits, and loosening of joints, displacement of the lens of the eyes, and a tendency to develop aneurysms, especially of the aorta, which is what you just said.
Yep.
You know your stuff. I imagine you would.
Yeah.
Through all
this. He ended up. I don't know how much we want to go into this story, but he ended up with an emergency open heart surgery. That was in 2017. Mm-hmm. So we had been married, weren't quite to our 7-year anniversary. I keep bumping the mic. And he had actually had several other surgeries, like 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that was like his 5th surgery within 2 years, less than 2 years. Which we didn't necessarily know at the time if all the things were related, but now we kind of think that they were. And so, that's a lot to go through. And, people go through much worse. There's people that have had 30, 40 surgeries or whatever. But I always say that, your heart is still your heart, even if someone's heart is harder. But it's harder to not, hard to not want to be like, it's not as bad as someone else's story. I don't know why we do that, but I feel like we do.
Like almost a coping mechanism, probably.
It's like I don't want anyone to think that I think that I have it worse than other people, which, it's not good necessarily.
There's always somebody out there, right, that you could probably point to who has it harder in context.
Yep. So that particular thing was very difficult, and it was kind of right within the same season of kind of realizing infertility. Like, we had been married almost 7 years. I think when we were married about 5 years, the first 5 years we had thought that we would just have a big family. Jordan said between 5 and 9 kids. That's what he said. And then 6 always seemed like a good number to me. So I was like, sure, that sounds fine. Like, we just both knew we wanted children. We wanted plenty of them, and I imagined just a house full of kids, pretty much. I don't know if you know that country song, but my friends, I had a few friends that were older than me. And so they got married a bit ahead of me. And so I was kind of the single one with a bunch of married friends, and they all had kids, whatever. And they would always sing that country song that's like, thought by now she'd have a man, 2 car seats and a minivan. And we'd always laugh, like, when I was single. But then it got funnier, if you call it that, because then I still didn't have children, but I was married, and we just thought it would just happen pretty quickly. We weren't necessarily like, we didn't have a timeline, I guess. We really didn't. We didn't know. I think we thought it would happen within the first few years. We weren't really, some people plan pretty well, right down to like, all right, let's start trying. People would always say, well, if you're not trying, you're trying. And I'm like, well, it's not working. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah. People say a lot of things that they don't realize are difficult until you're in a situation, in a position where you're like, oh, okay, those aren't the things to say anymore. I could give you a list of those, those kind of things. But then, it was kind of, I felt pretty content.
Okay.
I liked our life. It was fun. It was great. We had a little house. We both worked. It was good. Jordan kind of sooner than I did was feeling that the pain of not having children. I have a list of one summer. We had been married 2 or 3 years, I think. And that year, I think that there was like 23 pregnancies that we knew of. And a lot of them were like Jordan's friends having children. I think the number's 23.
Yeah.
Probably have it on my notes on my phone.
That could hit you in the feels for sure.
Yeah. So it felt like, oh, these people, people get married after us, start a family. People, whatever, start a family. And so we were kind of like, oh, that's not quite how we thought it would be. But I was a little, I was enjoying it.
Okay.
I can remember being like at friend's house or whatever. And I would like say to Jordan, like, isn't this nice? We just got in the car and we went home, like no car seats, no, everyone else is like buckling their kids in and like, it all
fighting
takes
with
forever when they have to go pick everything up, their house is a mess. Like I didn't ever, I didn't take for granted not those years of not having children. And I think it can be a common thing that people kind of do. And then they're like, oh definitely. I should have enjoyed that.
Right.
Where I didn't really, like, I was like, this is good. And I kind of always said, like, when we trust the Lord, there's people that say, I'm going to trust the Lord with the amount of children I have. And usually we think that that means like they're going to have 12 kids.
Yeah, tons.
That's what we think of. And typically
that's usually how it goes.
That is the case. But with us, I felt like if we're trusting the Lord, like, what if he's saying 0? Like, I kind of had came to terms with that. Like, who are we to say that 0 is not allowed to be one of those options? If we are truly saying, we believe in God, God has a plan, like, I'm trusting him with the amount of children, why is 0 not possible?
Yeah.
Which is kind of like, like,
yeah, no, I know.
Children is just tends to be kind of a given usually. So, but in our case, that wasn't true. So I remember one time, kind of a pointed time, I was talking to my aunt Tish, and our Aunt Tish. Brock didn't mention that we are cousins, but you know,
to be podcast guest, I hope.
Woohoo! Perfect. That could be. You might have to have like a 2, 3, 4, 5 part.
10-parter.
The amazing stories they have. Anyway, I was having a conversation with my Aunt Tish, and I was kind of saying this, like, but I'm trusting the Lord, and he knows, and and all that. And I kind of mentioned, like, Jordan maybe isn't quite in the same place as me, but I had a little bit of a, like, maybe a little bit of a, like, holier than thou kind of view of it. Like, yeah, I'm trusting the Lord. He's not as trusting, but whatever. And she kind of said to me, like, Delite, if your husband's not feeling that same way, like, are you actually, like, is it the right thing to do to be like, oh, just kind of ignoring it? I'm trusting the Lord.
Right.
Not that I wasn't trusting the Lord. I was. But when, like, are you actually caring about your husband if he is feeling, if this is hard for him? And I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
And she said it very nicely and gently. And probably one of those things that, it's one of those things I think that God just used. Like, I doubt that she was like, I don't think she was calculated, like, I'm going to speak this to her. She needs to know. Like, I don't think it wasn't like that. It was just normal conversation. But I think that we have those points in our lives where it's like, oh, that was the Lord speaking to me.
Yep,
so
for sure.
We kind of, after that, I kind of worked in my heart and asked the Lord to kind of work on my heart, even to be ready for children. And so I started reading things. I kind of like went towards it. Before that, I was sort of like, woo, this is great. We're just living life. How nice. We don't have to worry about children. And hopefully, I knew I wanted them someday, but I just didn't feel super anxious about it. How old? I would have been turning 29 that year. So I was probably coming up on, like, approaching the age of feeling like, oh, it hadn't really occurred to me, like, oh, if you don't have any children yet, like, this is how old you're going to be when you have children. And that's probably a whole nother conversation of being an older mom and some of those things that, like, I hadn't really calculated that point. But the cool thing is that overarching is, like, that God knows. He knows the plan. He knows the road. He knows what you're going to do. You don't, like, looking back, would have we started pursuing a family sooner? And if you did, then you don't have the children that you have. Like, you just,
sure. Yep.
You can trust, and that's cool. And sometimes that means trusting, just waiting, like I was originally. And sometimes it means trusting proactively and pursuing, which is hard
to know when to do that.
And you have to lean on Holy Spirit for those things. So we kind of started talking more. It was the type of thing where my personality versus Jordan's personality, if it had been reversed, I probably would have been pushing for it a lot sooner. But because his personality, even though he was feeling that way, he wasn't kind of pushing me towards it. So I kind of had to realize that was good to hear, like, oh, oh yeah, he might never. I was sort of like, well, if he's not saying it, like, which wasn't the right attitude. And so, yeah, we kind of, there was a couple years there of a whole journey of sort of like, oh, well, we haven't really actually done the things to try, like to actually, track your cycle and any doctoring, any of that stuff. Like we hadn't done any of that because I was just good. And so we kind of we like backed our way into like, oh, well, we should at least try first before we assume that there's a problem or whatever. So, different things. I remember one time that summer, was that the first time I really thought I was pregnant? And that was maybe the first time when we first were married once, I thought I was pregnant. Maybe it was like literally within the first couple months. And I think you don't even know what it feels like or whatever. So I remember taking a test and it was negative, and I don't even think I told Jordan I took it, or it was not that big of a deal. I was just like, oh, okay, nope. But then, years in, at that point, we're starting to think about children. And that summer, I really thought that I was pregnant. And it is still a little weird. I've never had a positive pregnancy test ever. It's like, but that summer situation is still a little weird because I was having like symptoms and weird things that like I really thought I was. So I have no idea if it was just because we started thinking about it, if I was my body was pretending. I don't know. Weird. That was a weird thing. But as far as I know, I've never been pregnant. And then, so those couple years were just pursuing different things. And I remember adoption came up a couple different times. But we just sort of talked about, we're kind of like, well, we're not really there yet. Like, we're not at the point of like, I think we both knew, well, we would adopt if we couldn't have biological children, but it wasn't. Some people, I feel like, just start out their life with like a desire towards adoption, and neither of us had that. So it was sort of like, that's a plan B, which technically a lot of times adoption isn't the first option. And that's one of the things in the adoption world, is just understanding that like adoption is surrounded with loss for the child, loss for the birth parents, oftentimes loss for the adoptive parents. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of a bittersweet thing. And it really is all the way through. Side note there.
Yeah.
So then I remember getting prayer different times. One way to kind of know your cycle, I don't know how much you know about it, but it's like tracking your temperature.
Yep.
And I can remember really feeling one time getting prayer, and I had been taking some supplements and some different things. And so really feeling like, I think my temperature did whatever it was supposed to, like went up. And then if it stays up, you're pregnant. But if it goes back down, and maybe it stayed up for a couple days or something, and I really felt like that the next month I was going to get pregnant. And I didn't. And so, we started the process of doing a little bit of doctoring, pursued that a little bit, did some different tests. And then right about the time, it was actually the time that Jordan had that open heart surgery. That was like an emergency and a really big thing. That was in 2017. We were actually in the hospital and we were waiting for the results of a test. And I remember him saying to me, he was like barely with it. Like that recovery was really difficult. It was a couple of days. There's a couple of days there that he doesn't even remember, probably because of pain meds and different things, but right. He still doesn't even remember certain things that happen in those days, which is really crazy to me. Anyway, but within those days, one day he said to me, like, are you going to call the doctor and get those results? And I was like, right now we want to get like, I was thinking like, I think this is emotional enough. I don't think that we need to add whatever it's going to say any more emotion to that.
Yeah.
But he was like, yeah, I want to know. And I was like, okay, you're the one in the hospital bed. So whatever you want, you
get to decide.
Anyway,
I wonder what that was. I wonder what that was about. Like maybe he was feeling like he just wanted to know if this was the last. Maybe he just wanted to know if he didn't know what his future looked like.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Who
I don't
knows?
know. Or if he just was like practical.
Or
like,
just
I'm
wanted
waiting for these results. If they're there, I want to know what they are. Like, why prolong it? They're going to come at whatever point. Anyway, so I ended up calling and she said, well, we'll have you guys, we'll have you guys come in for an appointment. But, yeah, as far as we can tell, there's no way that you will ever naturally conceive a child. So we were like, okay, that was kind of that. And we sort of knew at that point, there was a lot of doctors involved already in our life. And we didn't necessarily want to add to that list of doctors. So I remember, I don't know if it was that day that I came and told Jordan that. It was so weird because we were already in such an emotional situation that it wasn't as emotional as maybe it would have been if that was the only thing we were talking about that day. But it almost feels like it was that day maybe, but he said like, well, how quick can we adopt? And I remember him saying like, well, how quick can we adopt then? Like kind of like as soon as we knew that like there was a medical answer that said, nope, this isn't going to happen. We were like, okay. And I was fine with that. That's one thing that's sort of cool is that back when I had first started, like, okay, like asking the Lord, like, okay, you have to change my heart. Like I need to be ready. Like if he's ready and we're going to be at this point, like I need to be ready too. And I felt like over those couple years and even like for adoption, the idea for whatever reason, I just it didn't seem, probably just felt overwhelming. The paperwork, all of it, which it kind of is.
Yep.
And I think I just knew that. And so I think that was more, I don't think it had to do with like, can I love a child that I didn't give birth to? Any of that. I don't think it was that as much. Although maybe it was somewhat, but yeah, I just felt like when he said that, how quick can we adopt? I was like, well, I don't think it's fast, but you know, we can start pursuing it. And there was no hesitation on my end. Like we just were both like, okay, we're just on the same page. Easy as that, which is very typical for us. We make decisions very quickly and very, a funny example is 3 years ago, we bought a house and we literally were not even really talking about buying a house. Hadn't looked at other houses, never looked at other houses, saw the listing late one night, went at 10 o'clock the next morning, put in an offer. I realized at some point that I had never even gone in one of the bathrooms. Like I was just like, yep, this is what we want to do. We just did it.
Yeah.
Which is just how we do things. And so it usually works out okay for us. But it was the same thing with that. Like it wasn't a big discussion of whatever. It was just like, how quick can we adopt? I don't know. We'll find out. And then that was the path we were on. Like that was it.
Okay.
So then, yeah. Is this good? Like, am I giving too much detail?
No, this is great. Yep.
So then that was in June. So he came home, he recovered, but even like by July, open heart surgery is a long recovery. Like I feel like it was a good 6 months until it felt like life was starting to get back to normal. Like physically he did pretty well and was like doing okay. But like, yeah, there's just a lot that goes along with it. And it's a long recovery. But even despite that, that was in June. I remember even July, maybe bringing home a flyer from the fair or something. We didn't even know how to like figure out how to adopt, where to adopt, like what kind of, like we just didn't even know where to start. Besides like foster care and all that, which that's like a big question people ask that don't really understand adoption foster care, all of that. Like, I don't know how many times like that I've been asked, like, why didn't you do foster care? And so I'll just answer that for anybody who's wondering. Anybody who's wondering that. People don't always realize that foster care, people just connect foster care with adoption.
Right.
And the point of foster care is actually, the hope is reunification. The hope is for that child to be able to be reunited with their biological parents. Unfortunately, that doesn't always happen. Sometimes it's a good thing that it doesn't, but that is the goal of foster care. And so for us, and I think foster care is amazing. Like, we need people doing that. And I'm so thankful for the people that do. And if the Lord ever puts it in our heart to do it, I'm not saying I wouldn't ever do it. But at that point, like, we were desiring a family, not necessarily just for a short time and then potentially children going home. So that's the reason why we didn't pursue foster care. But
so what is the process like for anybody who might not have any idea when you start out from, okay, we're going to do it, to the process to kind of get involved and get the ball rolling? What does that look like?
Yeah. Well, we didn't, like adoption, you mean?
Yeah.
You're saying, yeah, we didn't really have any idea. I don't remember us ever pursuing or even really talking about international adoption. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's the fact that even though Jordan has been in a helicopter on his way to the hospital for that open heart surgery, he doesn't love flying or the idea of flying and or even traveling as much. It's just not his thing. So maybe that's why we were like, we're not gonna go to China and
understandable
get a baby or something like that. Yep. Just never even came up, I don't think. So I think we knew like United States, but we didn't know
what organizations, like what the process was. What are the steps?
And it's crazy because you're talking about, like, you might not have children yet, but like, you're talking about your children, like, and you know that, like, so you're like, it feels so flippant to be like, okay, well, this agency or that agency, like, because you know that, like, if I choose this one and our child is actually over in this one, you know, like, which again, God is so much bigger than all of that. Like, he orchestrates things, and it's amazing how he does and how he has each one of our 4 children, even to have 4 children that are adopted, and all of them all of them came home from the hospital to our house, which is not super typical. And the one that was the oldest when they did, most of them were just a couple days old when we either brought them home or went to the hospital to be with them. And then our youngest son was about 2 months old. But still, there's a lot of people that would love to adopt an infant, and it doesn't happen. So even just, each of their stories, it's amazing the things that God just worked on and put together. But so I just remember praying and kind of like, Lord, you have to do this, because we have no idea. We don't know even how to get to the right place, and how to know it's the right place if we get there. So there was a woman in this area who knew about an adoption agency, and she saw my mother-in-law. I'm trying to remember how the story goes, but I think they saw each other in the store. They knew who each other was. I don't know if, because it was very new that we were even pursuing it, but it was within the first couple months that we were talking about it. So I have no idea if maybe my mother-in-law would remember, but whether she brought it up or it happened to come up, or I'm not sure where the connection was, or if that lady knew another way. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. But either way, she ended up telling her about this adoption agency that she knew about. And my mother-in-law was like, okay, whatever. So she wrote down the name. And I remember we we were at dinner with my husband's family, and my mother-in-law said, oh yeah, I wanted to tell you about this lady I saw, whatever. So she said she saw her and told her story a little bit and how she was connected to adoption. And then she said, this is the name of the agency.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, okay, cool. And I remember right away, my sister-in-law, Monica, she typed it right into her phone, found the website and sent it right to me. And so I just always remember that she was the one that was like, here you go. There it is.
Yep.
And at the time, spoiler, that's the adoption agency we went with. At the time, everything was pretty analog. Like they were very old school. Like it was not a fancy website. You couldn't like send an email, I don't think, or any of that. Like,
no kidding.
You had to call, you had to, like everything was they've
what
updated a lot
year was this?
since then. 2017.
Okay.
So
yep.
Not that long ago, but still it was.
Still not 2025. Like 2017 is also not, yeah, that's pretty far.
True.
8 years ago.
Yep.
Didn't look the same.
A lot changes. Yeah.
Yep.
And there were other agencies that were a lot more updated than them. And they just were kind of,
a
lot of the people that worked there had worked there a long time and were kind of
old dog,
back.
new tricks.
Yep.
Yep.
Anyway, so we you had to call, and then you had to go to like a informational meeting before you could do an application or anything like that. So then I remember calling. I worked at the time at Tyro Automotive, for Tyson, who again, name drop. I'm just name dropping all over the place.
3-time guest? 4-time guest? I don't know.
He's been on, anyway, I worked for him. I was, his office lady. And I remember that because I was driving to work and I got the mail, and in the mail was a letter from the agency, pretty much like inviting us to that informational meeting. Like literally that's all it was. Mm-hmm. It was a letter saying we could go to that meeting. It was nothing. But I remember getting to work, and another thing happened that day too. I had ordered, so hard sometimes. There's so many layers to stories.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But a verse at the time that had been ministering to me was, I don't know the reference, but talks about us being under the shadow of his wings, God's wings. And so I think my grandma had known that or something, or maybe she sent it to me. I remember the Lord speaking it to me, but then maybe she sent it to me. And so every time she would see a feather, she would send me a picture or whatever. And it was kind of, that season was the season of Jordan's stuff and like wanting to start a family and trying to figure that out. And so that was really meaningful to me at the time, actually. Eventually, I don't know if you can see.
Oh, you got a feather
I have a
tattooed
feather
on your
tattoo.
wrist.
That's why.
Okay.
That same day that letter came in the mail, I also had ordered this pair of feather earrings, and they came in the mail the same day. And it was just felt like confirmation, like, okay, we're on the right track. And I just love how God does little things like that. Like they didn't have to come the same day. That didn't have to be something, but it was something to me. It was like, okay, I think that that's a sign from the Lord saying we're doing the right thing. Anyway, I remember getting to work, and one of the guys, one of the mechanics, Brian, I took the letter and showed him the letter. Like I just was so thrilled about it. And I just remember him probably being like, okay, Delite. he was so sweet. But, yeah, like it was that meaningful to me that I showed him. So if I had it here today, it's literally tattered because I just carried that letter around for it was like probably 6 weeks till we went to that meeting. But like, I just carried it around. It was like my one like lifeline, like this might happen. So obviously I feel like I should go back a little bit. Like I feel like I skipped ahead from like, I don't even care if I have children to I'm like, holding on to the thread of a letter that it might be. But I do feel like in those couple years, as I started saying, okay, Lord, like if this is something we're going to do, like I need need to desire that. And yeah, it did really switch. And I really did start to feel those feelings of, oh, this is something I'm desiring and something I don't have. And, there was a lot of in between there was a lot of, it's almost like I had, once I finally like brought back the curtain of those emotions, like I never felt like I was avoiding them or pushing them down or anything. Like I don't think I was doing that, but somehow maybe some of them were there and I wasn't acknowledging them. That's the only thing I can think, because I felt like it was very strong then. That desire was there, very strong, and it was hard and it was sad and it was, hard to understand and very lonely at times. And there were definitely a few different situations where the emotions would really hit me when I didn't realize it, or it would surprise me. One time was at a baby shower. Like it was the first time that I had been at a baby shower that I think since we had started kind of talking about it, thinking about it. And I remember it was a baby shower of like a really close friend. Like I was really thrilled for them. I was really glad to be there. Like, and all of a sudden I was just like feeling like I could just burst into tears. And I remember whispering to my friend, Shay, and I was like, can you pray for me? And we like ducked into the closet of the house that we were at. And I just said, I don't want to be sad. Like, I don't want people to, it's not that I don't want people to know how I'm feeling, but like, I don't want to overtake this day. Like, it's a happy day. We're really excited. Like, it's wonderful. Like, can you just pray for me that I can get through the day and process these feelings later? Because I don't want to be sad in front of everybody here today. Mm-hmm. Like, it wasn't about avoiding the feelings. It was just, it didn't need to be about me.
Did that feeling that day surprise you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I was like, oh, I didn't
realize I
hadn't felt like that before.
Interesting.
I remember even, it would have been a few years into, only a couple years, I guess, into marriage when my first nephews, like when that pregnancy was announced, when my brother and his wife were pregnant. And I remember, like they told us and I was really happy and stuff. And I remember my other brother saying to me, like, are you okay? Like, is that hard for you or anything? And I was like,
sure.
No. Like,
okay.
I was like, no, I was,
right.
thrilled or whatever. And it's a weird thing because it does, those like announcements and some of that do remind you of what you don't have, but you're not sad at all. Like you might be sad, but you're not sad because the other person is pregnant or just had a baby or any of those things. And so it's hard feelings to kind of grapple with because you don't want anyone to think that like you want to feel your feelings and deal with your feelings and all of that, but you don't want people to think like, oh, I'm sad that person is pregnant. And I think that it can be misunderstood a little bit. So it's a little tricky navigating.
Oh, I can understand that.
Navigating some of that. So there's been there's a few like marked times in my mind that I can remember that I was sort of surprised by feelings, that I had because those things come up, those emotions come up. And even since like I have 4 children now, but I still I've never been pregnant. I've never experienced those things. And that is still difficult at times. And so that can even surprise me. Like someone has a baby or whatever. And I'm like, I don't need another child right now, so I'm not really sad that I'm not the one having a baby, but yet you still grieve, the fact that I've never been able to do that. But I also grieve like that I wasn't there when my children were born. That's hard. And I'm sad about those even couple months of my children's life that I wasn't there for. And it's weird. It's like, it's okay, but it's also weird and hard and I still grieve it. Anyway, when I feel like there was kind of a whole journey of then starting to desire, but still the feeling of like, okay, Lord, but I still want to be okay if you're saying no. So like now I kind of moved into this, that in between time I was talking about, like I moved into this shift of like, okay, this, like now I'm sad. Now I'm desiring this. Now this is hard. But like, I also do want to trust you. I want to be okay if it's not. And so there were a few things of, I remember one specific thing was I didn't want any baby stuff. I didn't want any like baby things in my house. And I was kind of like, if we get there, then we'll buy stuff. Like, I'm not gonna like, yeah, I almost had a little whatever about it. Like, I'm not gonna fill my house with baby things or whatever. And I remember at one point the Lord kind of speaking to me and showing me like, hey, actually, that's not really a faith-filled way to walk. I had a great example in my sister-in-law. She also had quite a few years of infertility, and she was just so full of faith in that time. And she was always like, oh, I bought some outfits today for babies, or I bought this baby thing or that baby thing. And I was always like, why is she doing that? Like, she doesn't have children, you know? And I remember the Lord kind of speaking and saying like, hey, look at Monica. She has faith for what I'm going to do. You're kind of like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if you're convinced or whatever. And so it was
she
such
was
a good example.
Preparing the fields for harvest. Yeah.
Which, praise the Lord, she has 3 children.
Yeah.
Also.
Crazy.
So we both kind of walked, her journey was a little bit ahead of mine, but it was, meaningful to me
point.
to watch her walk through that. So I remember being at a prayer thing and people praying. Actually, I remember feeling like, oh, people are going to pray for me about babies, and being a little bit like, that's not what I even need prayer for today. Like, I don't need them to pray about that, but I know they're going to, because everyone thinks I should be having a baby, you know, whatever. Anyway, and it kind of goes along with the buying things ahead, because in that they prayed for me, and it did end up being really good, and I really appreciated it. And at the end, someone said to me, you need to buy some baby clothes or something like that. And I think I said right there, like, I don't want to. And I think I cried. Like, I think I was like, I don't want to do that. Like, what if I don't, just kind of, that was when that whole thing kind of came to like culmination. I was like, oh, like, no, I don't want to do that, because I don't want to not have like the whole hope deferred makes the heart sick thing. Like, I was like, it just makes me more sad to like have hope. I want to not have hope. And I always say that I felt like in that season, like that's one of the biggest things that God taught me, that he kind of called me into hope. He like invited me into this journey of like, this is what hope is, and this is what it looks like. And it's about trusting that I'm good, trusting that I have good for you. And like, you're not more faith-filled when you're just fine, but actually hoping is what I'm asking of you. So I was like, okay, all right. I remember going to Walmart. I was like, okay, I'm going to buy an outfit. And I think I had one maybe in my cart or something, and I couldn't do it. And I got really sad, and I like put it back. I was like, nope, can't do it. And I like left, and I just remember crying in the car. And even I remember, I think, calling Jordan and like telling him about that situation, which was like good, because sometimes I would sort of just feel my feelings and my own self and not open and be real, even with him at times. And so I remember calling saying like, I'm really sad. Like, this is really sad. And I think it was good for us to kind of feel those feelings together. So not long after that, I was in Walmart again. And that time I saw some baby things on clearance. And I literally just was like, okay, fine. And I just like grabbed it, put it in my cart. Like it wasn't that first time I was like, okay, I'm going to go, I'm going to buy something. Like it was like this whole thing. And then I was just sad and I didn't do it. The second time it was not like that at all. It was just like, okay, fine, I'll get this. It was $2 and I put it in my cart like, okay, Lord, fine, I'll buy the thing. I paid for it and I went out. And as I like walked to like where my car was parked, walked down that driveway, there was this huge rainbow, like literally right over the thing. And at that moment, like if you don't know, in the Christian world, the rainbow was a sign that God gave to Moses, promising that he would never flood the earth again. So it has to do with promise. And that moment when I saw that, it was like, that was the moment that I knew I'm going to have children. Like right then, before that I was like, okay, Lord, but what if I'm not? Like, I feel like you're telling me to hope, but like, what if I'm not though? That's okay too, whatever. Anyway, so at that moment, it was just like, it just knew in my spirit that the Lord was like, and it was kind of attached to buying that thing, having hope, saying, okay, someday I'm going to have a baby that's going to wear this. And I felt like, okay, I can say I'm going to have, like, I felt like I could speak in faith after that. Like, I felt like that was the Lord's just saying to me, yes, this is going to happen. So I was like, okay. And yeah, that was a girl outfit. So it took till number 3 to have a girl, but
that was in the closet for a while.
She did wear that outfit. I think after that I bought a boy outfit too. Yeah. Cause I was like, well, what if it's not a girl? Like maybe if it's a boy. So I kind of had those 2 outfits that were my hope, my hope outfits. And so all my children wore them, at least the first couple and my daughter. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so some of that happened within there of like my heart changing to like hoping and whatever. So then with the hope came like, oh, this is actually really hard and I'm sad and this is not easy and all that. So we went to the informational meeting and that night there were other people there. And at the end of it, they kind of gave out applications. They said, you can take it home. You can, fill it out here if you want, whatever. No one else filled anything out. But once again, Jordan and I, as soon as it got done, he's like, give me a pen. He just started filling it right out. Yeah. And we turned it in that night and we were just like, okay, we're doing this. I felt like the Lord just really showed us that we were in the right place. One of the things was that I really desired like to start a family with a baby, with younger children. But I had this kind of tug knowing that there's a lot of older children that need homes. And so I was kind of dealing with this selfish feeling of like, is it selfish to say like, we want a baby? Like, I know children need homes. Like that was hard for me. Where Jordan was more confident. He was like, yep, under 2. He was saying like, and we got there to that agency, we didn't know. And then as they started talking, they said, we're certified to do adoptions for 2 and under. And typically we do infants. And like, that was just cool. Even the Lord, like, he's like, I got you. Like, you don't have the choice. This is where you're going. You don't have the choice to do a 7-year-old. So you don't have to worry about it. And I just felt like, okay, thanks, Lord. Yep. So that's how we knew. Wow, that's a really long story leading up to not even having children yet.
It is cool to see the background work of obedience and hope. I've not been in that situation, so it's good for perspective building too. That you don't always know. You almost never know what people are going through, and true. I think that it's pretty cool to be able to see a couple of people in your life speak out to you and be like, "Hey, like you doing okay with this situation?" Yeah. Like when you're at a baby shower, like I could imagine how that would be a difficult situation to be in, and going back even a little bit further to that, to Aunt Tish, kind of speaking into your life, like, hey, I know your outlook on this, but you have to also focus on the desires of your husband's heart too, and make sure that you're not putting those out of sight, out of view for what your current life is.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty neat. It's a pretty cool story. So then you got involved with this group, and how long from when the application was put in to when they called?
Yeah. So then it was kind of we had to wait for the next, they call it the home study, but it's like a lot more involved than just them coming to your home. It's kind of a funny name for it, because it's like trainings, and there is coming to your home. There's interviews, like they interviewed each of us separately, then interviewed us together, background checks, fingerprinting, tons of paperwork, a whole write-up of questions you have to answer, and write little essays with your answer. Like, it's very, at least with this agency, like very involved. And you had to wait for like the next group to start, which that wasn't going to be until February. So even that, at one point during the waiting, I felt like the Lord kind of gave this idea to me that that this was the short part. Because I was reading, books and articles and everything about adoption, like so many stories, so many things. And it wasn't lost on me that there'd be this section about the waiting, about the preparing, about the journey towards adoption. And then most of the book would be about after the adoption happened. But the part that I was in right then, which was and then we waited, and then we got a call. And then one day we got a call. I was like,
the one
it's
day,
literally a line.
What time period is that little line?
But I was like, that's the shortest part of the story.
Yeah.
But when I was in it, it felt every day waiting till we could go start that training, and then waiting until we could actually get on the list, and waiting for the money to come in, and waiting, whatever. And then started the waiting for a baby.
Right.
And that was 9 months. 9 months.
Okay. What is that, because they kind of line you up earlier, or is it just that happens to be the time frame?
It just happened to be that's when we got that call. It
no
could
way.
be all different, whatever.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah. We actually had those 18 months were a series of 9-month waits. It was 9 months, I think, until we did the training, and then 9 months, or I have it written down somewhere, but it's these 9-month chunks, which just was always
cool,
really funny. But lost my train of thought.
Well, in the long, in this grand scheme of things,
right? The short part.
The short part feels
so
long.
When I was in that, every day felt so long, and every day, when you get to the point where you're waiting for a call, if they're calling you, they're going to get a hold of you, but yet you're your phone, I wouldn't be sitting here without my phone like I am today with my phone turned
Ringer
off.
on for sure.
I would be, any call that was not a number I recognize, it was you're on edge all the time for that whole time. Anyway. And so I felt like the Lord said to me, you're in the short part. And I just was and even though it felt long, I kind of held on to that of there's a whole life. Even when this happens, this is actually the short part. So I always said, someday if I write a book about waiting, I don't know if I ever will, but I'm going to name it The Short Part.
The short part.
The short part.
And make it the whole book.
Yep. To talk. Because at that point, I was wishing for people talking about the waiting season. And I wasn't
out there.
Wasn't finding that because it really is a short part. And then actual parenting is so much longer than that. Right. Even though people with grown children will tell you that's pretty short too. So doesn't feel like it when you're in the middle though.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, so I thought someday I'm going to write about this season and what God's teaching me in this season, and I'm going to call it The Short Part, but I haven't done it yet. We'll see.
I like that idea.
Yes. So then that was, even that our agency was, almost ended up shut down. So we thought that we probably had to go start back at square one. There's so much to it. I mean, just even how the Lord, he brought all the money in, had people bless us. We didn't really pay much out of our own pocket for our adoptions. Hardly at all. Like the Lord just provided it in different ways each time, which was amazing, because even that felt a little hopeless. Like, this is a lot of money and we don't have it sitting here in a bank account. And he provided it. Was amazing. So there's so many little stories within the big story, but so it was 9 months. Then finally, I had actually said to my mom the day before, which would have been the day my son was born, Harrison. Shout out Harrison. He'll probably be listening to this.
Yeah, buddy.
I sent a text to her and said, crazy, it's been 9 months. We've been waiting, like a pregnancy, crazy, right? Or something like that to her. And I literally sent that text like around the time that my son was born, and I didn't know till the next day. And then the next day we got the call. And so, just crazy how kind of a slow whirlwind in a way, they called, we said yes. He was in the hospital, and he was there, I think about 2 weeks, 14 days. And we were able to go and be with him. And then, just bringing him home, the video of, I have a video of that journey, and there's a video of me, like we're in the car in the garage before I got out, and I just cried, and I'm just like, so glad we're home. Like, I can't believe we're home. And, the idea of like all these years, 9 years, we've come home by ourselves, and now here today, we brought a baby. And the feeling of, I think it was one of your podcasts recently, maybe Tyson was talking about taking a baby home and like, wait, you're letting us do this? Or was it you? Maybe I can't remember which one.
I think it was the brothers podcast. So. Yeah. Like, you're going to let me just take this baby without any training?
Yeah. Well, that feeling all the more when you haven't even been like carrying this baby for 9 months.
Yeah.
They don't have your last name. And
God, I don't even have the house ready. And
I remember asking a question to the nurse, like asking something about the baby or whatever. And she said, you get to choose. It's your baby. And I was like, oh my word. Like, yeah, it's our baby. Like, this is crazy. But, just amazing. Just adoption, and the fact of there's, like I said, it's bittersweet. Like, there's definitely sadness attached, and, birth moms and dads, or a couple of our children, the dad is involved also. And just the people, that's like another thing. Like I said, I have a list of things that people say that I'm like, I could do a little educating, but another thing is that people can kind of have a bad like feeling towards people who place children for adoption. And I'm just like always like the first one to be like, don't even like, you have no idea people's stories, and the especially that first situation, like my son's birth parents, like they loved him so much, and they were so sad, and they were wise enough to realize like the best situation for him is not to live with us. To me, like to have to come to that and admit that and like be that like wise to make another plan for your child, like I just cannot even imagine how hard that is. Like people are kind of like, oh brother, and I'm like, no, that is like the most difficult thing you could ever do. I'm like, the people that are, it's hard. It's so hard that so many people don't make that decision, and it's the life of that child is a lot more difficult than if they were able to go and be parented by other people. But it's hard. Like, yeah, it's just amazing that people can do that. So I have a lot of respect for birth moms and dads too that are involved in making that decision, because yeah, it's not easy. And even like when we left the hospital, we got the chance to meet them, which again, whole nother story. But yeah, that was really cool. And even the day we left the hospital, it's this delicate thing of like, okay, you just carried this baby for 9 months, but now I'm taking him home and I get to take him home and I get to be his mom. And you're sad. And so I'm a little sad because this is my son, but I know it's also your son, and it's weird.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of dynamics there that you put yourself in that mother's shoes. Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, then from that stage, you did it 3 more times.
Yeah.
Pretty quick succession.
Yeah.
And you said before it was, what were the ages? 6, 4, 3, and 2?
Yep.
Whoa.
Yep.
So
So I think that Harrison was he was born in 2019. So 2020, he was about a year maybe when we started kind of talking about, okay, well, what would it look like if we did this again? And we ended up starting the process again. And they had actually switched quite a few things from even those couple years later. That was sort of when like I was talking about the technology and stuff, that was sort of when that switch was happening. And so, also it was 2020. So, COVID,
almost
all
like
that stuff.
Forced to switch by necessity.
2 of our children, like we met them wearing masks and stuff like that. Like we'll never forget. It was, COVID years.
Oh yeah.
Isn't it crazy that we're like coming up on 6 years since like the beginning? Like I can't even.
No.
Time is crazy how it flies.
It is nuts.
Yeah. So we started the process again, did all the things. Once again, didn't have the money. Lord provided the money. Actually, this time it was sort of like right at the last minute before we could have like gone live. Like had our profile be able to be shown to
the parents.
Expectant parents looked at different people and then would make a decision, like whatever. There's a whole process involved with that about who's been waiting the longest, who lines up with what the adoptive parents have to line up with what the expected parents want and all of that. So there's a whole kind of thing involved. And I think that there was only one other time before Harrison, we had our profile shown, and another family was chosen. And so even that was hard, which again, he was born like 6 weeks later. And so if you could know 6 weeks from now, but at the time we didn't know, it just was a no. And it was really difficult. But then 6 weeks later, it was our turn. So for Julian, that's our second son, we got the money, had been given some money to make it that we had enough you had to have a certain amount before you could say, okay, our profile can be shown, because you had to have enough so that you could pay. There's like a chunk that you pay when placement happens. So that could be 2 years, but if it's tomorrow, then you need to have the money. So that happened. And then Harrison had his second birthday. And I think it was like 5 days or something. It was like within a week of when we were like, okay, our profile can be shown. Harrison turned 2. And then we got the call. And actually we got a call that morning about, can we show your profile? And it seemed like a really good situation. And I was really excited about it. Called Jordan. Yes. Okay. Then she called back that night and I was like, uh-oh, like what happened or whatever. And she said, I'm actually calling you again because I have a more time sensitive situation. And it turned out that Julian's first mom was like in labor. And so we had to decide, and then we didn't know till the next day, but then he was born a couple hours later. So, that's the one that like we took him around and showed everyone and whatever. Cause it was
huge
just
surprise. Yep.
Yeah. We were not expecting it to be that fast at all.
Yeah. No kidding. Cause probably in your mind, you're thinking months
like maybe a year from now or something.
Okay. But it was like, no, how about tomorrow?
Yeah, definitely not.
Oh man.
So then he was born, and then we went the next day. So he was the one that he was 2 days old and was doing really well. Didn't have to spend any time in the hospital or anything like that. So he came right home with us, and tiny little 6-pound baby. It was crazy. It was like, where did you come from?
And what do I do now?
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, it's with both my girls, it's been like, oh man, it's a totally different dynamic now.
Yep.
And luckily ours aren't so far apart that we've forgotten. Like we're kind of still in the same baby toddler stage. So
sure.
But I know a lot of people who have like 5 or 6 years in between.
Yeah.
You're like, you forget.
I know. I would imagine.
You have like selective amnesia.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, this is a diaper.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
But
so
not for you. Not for you.
We had 2 boys, and I really desired a daughter. But yeah, again, I was like, Lord, I'm not going to say, like, I trust. If I'm never going to have a daughter, that's okay. But I really desired that a lot. Always had my whole life. But again, 2 adoptions, a lot of money, 2 little kids. We were, I don't know. We kind of were like, I was also feeling like maybe 2 is good. Like, this is amazing. We have 2. Like, we didn't know if we'd even have a second one. Like, I didn't necessarily feel super settled, but yet I was like, well, maybe this is it. And I never, like I told you, we thought we'd have a lot of children. So I always imagined a life with lots of kids. And the idea of like only 2, I was like, that actually kind of sounds sort of nice. Like maybe it would be, if that's what we're meant to do, then wow, what a fun surprise. Just only have 2. That sounds great. And Julian was 11 months old when we randomly, I actually have it on video because I was recording a video for my friend, a Marco Polo. If you know what that is, just like
it's like a walkie-talkie thing?
Yeah, kind of, where you do a video. And I was recording one of those for my friend that lived far, far away. And in the middle of it, I go, New Hope is calling. That's the name of my adoption agency. And I was like, why are they calling? And so I actually have the video
of like, if
you look at my YouTube channel on Sage's story, it has the actual video of me going, why are they calling? Like I knew it was random. Mm-hmm. And I was,
because you hadn't told them like we're interested and ready again.
No, we weren't anything. Yep. And so she called and she said, hi, are you with Jordan? I was like, uh-oh, what?
Oh no.
Whatever. I said, no, I'm working. And she said, okay, well, I'll just talk to you for now. But, Harrison's first parents had a baby this morning. And I was like, boy or girl? Because I was like, if it's a girl, I can't even believe it. And why is she calling me? Whatever. And she said, it's a girl. That's the first thing I said, boy or girl?
Right.
And she said, it's a girl. And I was like, oh my word. And then my next thought was, I have an 11-month-old. Like I have a baby. Like, oh my word. Okay. Anyway, so she's my son's biological sister, my firstborn. And so I think I was like, hang on, let me try Jordan. So I called Jordan and then we were like on a 3-way call. And I'm pretty sure, I was just thinking about this the other day. I'm pretty sure, once again, I think we said yes right on that phone call.
Didn't
Not
really
expecting
think
it.
Didn't think through it too much.
Like, nope.
It was just a done deal.
We weren't even in the same room. Like Jordan and I weren't even looking at each other. Like
right, no verbal
cues.
Texting.
I'm not sure what. I don't know, but we were like, yep,
just
okay.
Go for it.
And then it was a few days before, there was some red tape involved. I don't remember exactly what happened, but it wasn't, she was in the hospital still, but like they were kind of saying like, when could she come home? But then it turned out maybe she was going to have to spend some time longer in the hospital like her brother had. And so anyway, praise the Lord, they ended up finding a way. And then it was, I don't remember how many days in between, but I was able to go be with her. And then Jordan came eventually. And then she was also in the hospital about 11 days before she came home. But I just was like, I have a daughter. Like, I just couldn't believe that. Yeah, we didn't do anything. And once again, the Lord provided the money. It just feels still, when I look at her, like, I'm just like, it just feels miraculous. Like, I can't even believe that this happened, that here she is and she's ours. And
so quick, like an 11-month-old.
Right. Yep.
That's 2 babies.
Yeah. Yep. So that was 2022. And then summer of 23, I think now we're flip-flop, and Jordan's feeling pretty settled, pretty good,
okay, yep.
you know?
Is 3,
and I was kind of like
3 of them under 5 at that point?
Yeah.
Or 4?
4, right?
Right.
2? Yeah.
Wow.
Harrison was 3 when Sage was born.
Okay.
So yeah.
So now you're like,
so 3.
all right, this is a lot. This is a lot of responsibility. It's a lot of parenting.
Yep. But I just felt like there was
more,
another one at least. And yeah, even that, again, another crazy story. Jordan and I went away in August. So our son was actually born on July 31st, and it was almost a month later. We didn't know anything about that. Jordan and I went away. And while we were away, we kind of both got on the same page of like, okay, let's start the process again. So again, I was thinking, oh, maybe next year, like when Sage will
right.
Sage had turned 1. So I was like, when around Sage is about 2,
Mm-hmm.
the first 3 the birthdays are within 2 weeks from each other. So I was like,
okay,
maybe that's when we have babies. So, next when they're all, she'll be 2. I liked that. 2 years apart was good. That 11-month thing was crazy. But the other 2 that were 2 years apart, that was perfect. I thought, whatever. So we kind of both decided, yes, we're going to do that. Came up with names. It's usually the first thing we do every time. And we came up with what we'd name a boy, I think, and a girl. And I said, that was in August. And I said, at the end of September is the banquet that the agency has every year. It's like a fundraiser kind of thing. We usually go to it. I said to Jordan, maybe I'll just wait till that banquet. So I don't have to, I don't like to make phone calls. So I just said, so I don't have to call. I'll just wait and tell them at that banquet. Well, I'll see what's her name there and whatever. And Jordan said, no, I don't think we should wait. And I was like, hello, a week ago, you weren't even thinking we should have more children. What are you talking about? And he just kind of felt like, I think from the Lord, like, I don't even know if he knew it was the Lord, but he was kind of like, okay, yeah, we should, like, he was saying, no, I think we need to call sooner. And I was like, oh, now I have to call. Actually, I think I emailed, and then she called me. So that was a little better. And she said, okay. So she said, okay, I'll send you paperwork. Okay. So she sent paperwork. I think that came on like September 7th or something like that. And I had 3 kids. It sat on my desk. Like, I didn't do anything with it. The first time we would have had it all filled out, of course,
Right.
And then on September 14th, I get a call from our
fast.
agency. Again, a week later after the paperwork. I
Right.
hadn't even touched the paperwork. She said, have you filled anything out yet? I was like, no.
Why?
She said, okay, well, I'm just wondering if you could fill out these 2 pages and email them to me or text them to me or something. We have a situation we'd like to ask you guys about. And I was like, oh my word, are you serious? Like, I was thinking start the process means like a ways away from now, like whatever. And it turned out that he was almost 2 months old. He was 6 weeks at that time. I was like already born you're talking about? And typically with that agency, a match happens when the mother is like 7 months.
Okay. Yeah. Just to get everything ready.
You even have a couple months, whatever.
Yep.
Not with us. None of the times do we get that time, which just a whirlwind. Anyway, so try to not make it too long, but yeah, turned out that was our son. And so then it was, the day that we went to get him, we actually ended up not going to the banquet because it was that night.
No way.
So when we went to visit him, and then he was in the hospital and was hopefully going to come home the next day. So we went over to like a place that they have. That
you would have missed him if you would have waited until the banquet.
Right. So at that night Jordan and I are having dinner, and I said, oh, wasn't the banquet nice tonight? And he kind of looks at me and like, we didn't go to the banquet. We were at the hospital. And I said, oh yeah, I told what's her name that we were interested in starting the process again. He was like still looking at me like, what is she talking about? And I said, oh yeah. And they said that they had a baby who met his parents today. And like, yeah, that would have been someone else, not us. And he was like, then, he's starting to understand what I was doing. And
Yeah.
I was like, isn't that crazy? Like if you wouldn't have said, no, we got to call now. Like that was what got the ball rolling. That I probably wouldn't have been us. It would have been someone else and whatever. So yeah, just crazy. And I feel like I could tell 100 more stories of just those little things that, just that the Lord did throughout all of that, and just confirming that he knows what he's doing and that he's the one who builds families. He's the one. And I think with biological children, you have some of those same stories, like we can think we know, we could think we're planning, but he does the planning, and his ways are higher than ours.
Yeah.
Do you know the story about Witten's name?
No.
All right. I should tell at least that. Yeah, I know it. We're getting kind of long.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So with each of our children, we kind of had to decide, like, some of them had been given names by their first parents. Some of them hadn't, like just kind of deciding, do we use some of their name? Do we not use it? Like how we handle that. And it's been a little different each time. So with our son, Witten, his first name was Christopher. And it was very important, that name for his first mom. It was very important to her. Of course, you adopt a child, like you get to choose. But yeah, you still care about her. And especially with her, we have a pretty open adoption. We have 2 visits a year with her and send pictures and letters pretty often and stuff like that. So it all goes through the agency. We don't have it's not so open that we have her number or her have ours. Okay. But it is, we've been with her a lot of times. And
who usually decides that? Is it
the visits?
Yeah. Is it
we have what month they will be.
Okay.
And then usually she's usually pretty anxious. So she calls the agency and is like, can you see when we can have our visit? And so then we just suggest a couple times that we can meet up. And,
generally though, can you decide, no, I don't want to have visits? Or can she decide, I don't want to have visits?
Right. Okay. So.
Or is it both have to agree?
Yeah. So with each child, they have their own legal documents called a PACA. It's the post-adoption contact agreement.
Okay.
Yeah. Post-adoption contact agreement. And so in each one of our children, it's different with how many visits or no visits or all of that.
Okay.
And so you both agree to it. We sign it. She signs it. Hers says, I won't post him on social media, things like that. We say we'll let her have the visits, kind of all of that.
It's kind of a agreement.
And then within it, there is protection for the child. If at any point, if we felt oh, this actually is not in his best interest, then we could make a change with that.
I'm sure legally. That has to go through a judge and Okay. All right. I was just curious how that worked.
There's also a clause if the parent makes if we have a plan and they keep not showing up or something, again, we have then rights to go and say, hey, especially as they get older, our 8-year-old is not dealing very well with this, that she never comes. We're going to change this agreement and not do it anymore. Right. But so far it's been good.
So Christopher was important to her.
Yeah, his name. So one thing about our other 2 boys is that I mentioned earlier that my husband likes football a lot, and I like to say we're a football family. We,
well, he is a Cowboys fan, so
we like
try
to
not to hold it against him.
Football, and it's a big deal in our house. And so, the boys both have originally that wasn't part of Harrison's name, but then we've kind of
adapted it later on.
Harrison Butker is pretty cool. So
Butker, that's where it comes from? No way.
So I think we liked that name before, but pretty quickly it became he has a football name. Right. Julian's middle name is Emmett, for Emmett Smith, who was a cowboy. But But of course, Julian Edelman was around that time was pretty good.
Yeah, no kidding.
Sometimes we call him Juju. So he really likes Juju Smith-Schuster, so it's
no way.
whatever. So it became that
this is awesome.
Our boys, whatever. And Jordan himself, his middle name is Michael. His dad couldn't quite convince his mom to call him Michael Jordan, but he's Jordan Michael. So, it kind of really runs in our family.
Yep. Sports names.
Anyway, so Jordan was like, well, at this point, he's got to have a football name. And I'm like, I'm sure that there's a Christopher that is a football player, and he's like, no, it's got to be one that means something to me. He's got to be whatever. And the name that we had picked out was Witten Jacob Witten for Jason Witten.
Yep.
And
one of the all-time great tight ends of all time.
Yep. And Jacob is Jordan's best friend's name. So that was the name we had picked. And then we have this dilemma with Christopher, and we really felt that we kind of wanted to keep it. But then we decided that maybe we would keep it as his first name, give him 2 middle names, use our name, and then we'll call him Witten, and his name will still be Christopher. He'll know that his first mom can call him Christopher. People do that all the time. You find out their first name is something else, then, whatever.
Definitely, yeah.
It's a little goofy, but it works. So that was kind of our workaround to keep that, honor her, but whatever. So that's what we decided. So somewhere along the way, I don't know if he had come home yet or what, but we were kind of in the process, and grandma texted me, and she's texting me, and she's like, okay, now what's his name and what does it mean and why did you name him that and whatever. And she kept kind of saying Christopher, the football player. And I'm like, no, grandma, being a little I need to just talk to you about this in person because you're not understanding. But then she kind of wouldn't let down with it. She kept being like, yeah, right. But Christopher's the football player, right? Whatever. And I'm like, no, grandma, Witten. The guy's name is Jason Witten. That's the football player, Witten. And she's finally she sends me a screenshot of Jason Witten's bio. Did you know that Jason Witten had a different first name?
No way. Are you serious?
Christopher Jason Witten.
Holy smokes.
First of all, goes by his middle name.
Right, yeah.
Second of all,
that is nuts. No way.
Second of all, he's like, I got to look it up.
I'm looking
to know
it up,
if it's
fact
true.
check right now.
Second of all, it's Christopher. And and that
unbelievable. Was Christopher Jason Witten.
And that was in a time too where we weren't sure. We had been matched with him. That was the plan, but we didn't know for sure if he was going to end up coming home. There was a couple other situations that might have happened instead. We didn't know. And so again, another moment where when she sent that to me, I was like,
no way.
And then I was like, I knew, yep, he's our son.
That's crazy.
And so we don't use the Christopher all that often. Although even last night I'm like, Christopher Witten, get over here.
No, see, I didn't even know that. Wow.
Yep. So I just love that story. Once again, just a little God doesn't have to do those things.
Yeah.
It would have been fine if that was just his name and his birth mom gave it to him. That's amazing. Whatever. But what? He just loves us that much.
Yeah. What are the odds?
That he lines up these little things to say, hey, I know you. I love you. I got you. And it's a good reminder for me when I recount them, the Bible tells us to remember the stories and to say the things. It's a good reminder, when the days do get hard, like I said when we first started, okay, this isn't by accident that I have these 4 children. God lined it all up. So
unbelievable. Yeah. Well, I love that story. I mean, we're getting late, and I'll let you go, but I want to have you back on though, because originally too, I had thought, we would talk about some of the challenges of parenting and kind of the hard seasons that you have to go through. I definitely want to have you on.
As you can see, I don't have a hard time talking.
This is great. I'm learning so much about somebody I've known my whole life.
Oh, my
I think that's going to speak to people. It's just cool. I love that. Man, Christopher Jason Witten.
I know, who knew? I can't remember when I should look and see if I saw the text.
Wait, and Jordan didn't know that. Lifelong Cowboys fan.
Right.
And Grandma's there.
Right.
Figured
I know. Grandma's there was the
She's
one.
No.
The funny thing is, right after that, my mother-in-law was
I'm
telling
talking
the
about
story
the same person.
at a ladies thing. And one of the ladies there was like a really big Cowboys fan and even has a Witten jersey in her thing. So as she's telling the story, the lady goes, and his first name's Christopher. And Peggy's like, well, you just ruined the punchline, but that's cool that you know that.
It's cool that you're the one person that knows that.
Oh, man.
What a story.
Well,
cool.
Thanks
Well,
for having me.
I can't thank you enough for coming. It's super fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And definitely, I want to talk to you about kind of the nitty gritty, you know, the harder stuff too. Cause
oh, yeah. I
can relate with that. So awesome. Well, appreciate
thanks so
it.
much.
Yeah. Thanks.